What kind of parent will ask their child to kill?
Children cannot say no to a parent that wants them to kill.
Mother and son are partners in crime.
Vicious, angry, controlling. They compared her to Charles Manson.
In the Wild West, the family business is murder.
Kate was always given credit for slitting the throats from ear to ear.
And a terrifying mother has a deadly request.
You did whatever Mom said, including kill.
For these deadly women, murder is a family affair. It runs in the bloodlines. On a quiet April day in 2001, Greg Hyman visits his sick father.
Dad, where are you?
Something is very wrong. The house has been emptied. His grandmother, suffering from Alzheimer's, has been abandoned, slowly starving.
She had survived by eating newspapers, the only thing she could reach.
What happened?
Greg's father has vanished.
There was brain matter on the walls, on the ceiling.
It was a crime of great brutality and ignorance.
The city of Everett, Washington State. Barbara Opel is a 38-year-old single mom, struggling with family life.
Barbara Opel had 3 children. Heather Opel, Derek Opel, and Tiffany Goudot, a child from another relationship. Barbara Opel and her children had lived virtually everywhere for short periods of time. Notices of eviction were as common as junk mail.
Author Burl Barer says Barbara Opel is notorious in the local community.
She was more than well known for screaming at her children. She was almost famous for it.
Say no! Or kill a parent! You just sit down and shout! You get down there!
Known in many neighborhoods as a loud, obnoxious, screaming, domineering woman. She had a very dominant personality and was also highly manipulative.
Her eldest child is 13-year-old Heather. She does what she can to avoid her mother's wrath.
I've got an extra big soda.
It would be nice to say Heather was under her mother's spell, but her mother was a bully. She was under her thumb. She was abused.
You need to build up those muscles. How was training?
When children grow up in a household with one parent, and that parent is constantly yelling at them and abusing them emotionally and physically, it's pretty tough for that kid to not go along with whatever Mom wants them to do.
I said, will you stop with the ball?
They do it to keep peace in the family and to not get hit.
It was lovely, wasn't it, Mama? Enjoyed it outside?
The Opel family's luck changes
Hi, Barbara. Hi, Heather.
when Barbara meets 64-year-old retiree Jerry Hyman.
Is this for Mama's lunch?
He actually felt bad about her living conditions and asked her if she'd like to move in with her children into his basement. and care for his elderly mother, who was 89 and wheelchair bound.
It smells nice. Do you like that soup?
Jerry Hyman has cancer, but his mother is his top priority.
He didn't have that long to live. He wanted to take good care of her. It wasn't quantity of life, it was quality of life. He was willing to sacrifice his own personal well-being to take care of his mother.
Look, if you need to use the car, by all means, if you need to, okay?
Yeah, well, I need to go do some grocery shopping.
Oh, wow. Do you need some money? I tell you what.
Jerry Hyman was generous to Barbara and her family.
Go right ahead, okay? Get what you have to get, okay?
He provided money, gifts to them for the holidays.
I gotta go. I'll be back about 6:30, okay? Bye, Mama.
Barbara Opel has only one person's well-being in mind: her own.
She discovered he had about $40,000 in the bank, and somewhere along the lines of that first year, began to devise a plan to murder him.
But she won't do the killing. She wants a gang of children to do it for her. The leader will be her daughter Heather's boyfriend, 17-year-old Jeff Grote.
Jeff Grote was a rather athletic speed skater who lived in the area, and he was selected by Heather, 13, as kind of a cutie.
Barbara encouraged that relationship because she wanted Jeff to be the ringleader of the group of young murderers who were ultimately going to kill Jerry Hyman.
And she decided that one of the ways to do this, to get him on her side, was to have her daughter sleep with him.
After using her own daughter as sexual bait, Barbara puts her plan in motion.
When they came out of the bedroom, Heather's mother sat him down for a heart-to-heart talk. It wasn't about safe sex, it was murder. She wanted to enlist Jeff Grote in the plan to kill Jerry Hyman.
Heather, is that you?
There's another gang member Barbara has in mind. Her daughter, Heather.
Whoa! Yeah. Right color and everything. There you go.
Barbara promised Heather both money and a dirt bike. We know that in her diary, Heather had entries that she was going to get a dirt bike out of this killing, and she was excited about that.
For the price of a dirt bike, Heather Opel is prepared to murder a 64-year-old retiree.
Barbara Opel exercised an uncommon degree of dominance over her children. What Mom said went. You did whatever Mom said, including kill.
In a suburban basement, a gang of children are waiting to kill.
All of the young killers in this case came from chaotic family backgrounds. The warmth and love and connection normal families have between parent and child simply was not there for any of the people involved in this murder. So murder for them, pretty easy.
The only adult present is the one pushing them towards murder, Barbara Opel.
You take that. I've had enough.
She wants retiree Jerry Hyman beaten to death.
You ready for it? Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Ready and willing to kill is Barbara's 13-year-old daughter, Heather.
Heather Opel was an excellent student, sports star, well-liked, well-behaved. No one would ever suspect that a girl such as Heather could commit such a horrible crime.
Heather may have failed to develop a strong sense of self because of the overwhelming domination and control of her mother.
This murder would never have happened without Barbara Opel putting these kids up to it.
When Jerry Hyman arrives home on April 13th, 2001, the team of young killers lie in wait.
Mama, why are you sitting in the dark?
When Jerry walked in the door, he was immediately attacked, knocked to the floor.
Hit him again!
He cried out, "Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to me?"
What?
He never received an answer, and there is no rational answer for it.
They beat this old man to death with souvenir baseball bats, the metal kind that make a ping, and all the boys remember the ping sound when they hit Jerry on the head.
While Jerry Hyman was being murdered, his 89-year-old mother, who was in the late stages of Alzheimer's disease, was sitting in her wheelchair just a few feet away. We believe she witnessed her son being brutally killed in this manner. In fact, Mr. Hyman's blood was found splattered all over the side of her wheelchair.
Hit him again! Go again! Go on! Kill him!
While the murder of Jerry Hyman was taking place, Barbara Opel was acting as a one-woman cheerleading section from the basement.
Slash him!
I don't think it's an accident that Barbara hid out in the basement and had these children do her murderous deed for her.
Again! Make sure you do it right!
She did that on purpose. She is smart enough to know they might get caught, and she could always say, well, I had nothing to do with it, the kids did it. That's how heartless this woman is.
Then, Barbara urges her own daughter up the stairs
Go get him! What are you waiting for? Get up there!
to kill for Mom.
Come on, baby. Stab it.
Heather Opel, who had just turned 14 years of age, stabbed Jerry Hyman numerous times.
And afterwards, Heather was heard to say by the others, "That was fun, let's do it again."
Go! Come on! Move!
There was a great deal of blood following the bludgeoning and stabbing of Jerry Hyman.
Come on, get this cleaned up. The quicker we get it done, the quicker we get out of here. You're not fun.
Barbara had her daughter clean up the brains and the blood from the floor.
Jerry Hyman's body is dumped in a nearby forest. Barbara has no plans for what to do next.
Basically, she wanted Mr. Hyman dead and wanted his money and wanted other people to do the murder so she could somehow keep her hands clean. That's as far as she went.
A credit card trail soon leads to the arrest of Barbara and her family, the children who obeyed their mother out of blood loyalty are now her undoing.
Barbara denied everything, but once they got to the kids, the game was up.
The children began to give up an incriminating detail here or there, and it was finally the youngest, Tiffany, who broke the case and said Jerry's dead.
Young people talk, they don't take direction well, and they're easily frightened. It was probably the dumbest thing Barbara did in the commission of this murder.
On trial for murder, she tries to blame the crime on her daughter. But the jury finds Barbara Opel guilty and gives her life in jail.
Not only did Barbara lack empathy for her victim, rather helpless old man, She lacked empathy for her daughter and was willing to throw her under the prison bus so that she could escape.
Heather Opel pleads guilty to murder.
It was a difficult trial, difficult moment to view a distressingly innocent girl who looked every bit of 12 and 13 years old, was convicted as an adult murderer and sent off to an adult prison for 22 years.
With mother and daughter in separate prisons, the ties of blood are still powerful.
To this day, Heather does not see her mother as being evil. The dominance over Heather by her mother is absolutely incredible. Heather defended her mother to the very end. It wasn't that Barbara Opel could do no wrong in Heather's eyes. It's just that Barbara Opel could do all the wrong she wanted, and it was okay.
While some children are forced to murder by their parents, others are ready and willing to kill for the family. On the prairies of Kansas in the 1870s, passing travelers stop to see a Wild West medicine show.
So I can see, looking in your eyes, that you're wondering how it is I can cure the
The
blind.
frontier men are mesmerized
So as you can see here, I have my charts.
by a beautiful young woman
My
who offers spiritual cures
astrology charts.
for earthly ills.
Most important of all, my Ouija board.
Kate Bender was a very pretty woman. It's been said that she had lips that would set any man dreaming.
This root.
She was around 5'6" and a very slender woman and very well endowed.
To cure a young boy of his blindness. Yes, it's true.
She had quite a bit of class. She wasn't like most of the women here in the prairie area.
Miss Bender?
Yes.
Do you have anything that would cure a lovesick bachelor?
A lovesick bachelor, of course.
She was very outspoken and quite the talker. She did seances.
I concocted my secret love potion, and it just requires one drop.
Maybe she would laugh and flirt and this kind of thing. She was a lure.
And the next time you see the woman you desire,
Kate Bender is a lure
Paul, wait for Grace.
for a deadly family.
This was food that we were about to receive.
The Benders might be America's first serial killer family.
Come on, eat up.
The Benders live out on the frontier trail. Ma and Pa, brother John, daughter Kate.
Well, anyway, it's been a good week, huh?
Very good.
Not bad. Not bad.
While pioneers head west to seek their fortunes,
And what
the
about
Benders are making their own opportunities. Their simple cottage doubles as a general store and an inn.
They had the store and they had the table where they fed people. And now and then, if somebody stayed overnight, they had a straw mattress that they put in there.
Even if a passing traveler hasn't seen Kate's medicine show, he will soon fall under her spell.
Gorgeous horse.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, where are you heading?
I was going to.
But Kate's eyes are only for his money.
Well, Kate was very talkative, very provocative, and she would engage all of the travelers in conversations after they analyzed whether they were worthwhile robbing or not.
Kansas historian Wayne Hallowell says frontier travelers were enticing prey.
People came with large sums of money, which $2,000 was a large sum of money in those days, to buy either a claim or to buy cattle and chickens or whatever to homestead their claims.
I bet you're hungry.
If Kate decides the man looks wealthy enough, he'll be invited in for a meal. Inside the Bender Inn, there's a special feature.
And they had a canvas wagon top that they hung across the room to divide the public area from their living quarters.
That wagon sheet is the key to a gruesome plan.
So it's a shame you missed my spiritual talk.
She'd put them in front of a chair that was pushed up against a canvas, and I can actually visualize her coming out, you know, very sexy.
Kate Bender's smile is a final distraction as her brother looms behind the sheet.
The visitors who visited the inn were killed by having a blow in the back of the head.
Yeah, well, maybe you should.
And then Kate would slit their throats.
I don't think anyone was really safe when Katie was around. If Katie wanted something from them, she was going to get it. No one stood in her way.
Out in the American Wild West, travelers are disappearing. After spending a night with Kate Bender and her deadly family.
The general lawlessness of the frontier made it very possible for the Benders to commit these crimes and get away with it.
The Bender family lived together and killed together.
The dynamics of a crime family are interesting in that being a member of a group committing a crime makes it easier to commit that crime.
Okay, how are we going then?
They're all in it together.
As settlers travel west to America's new frontier, the Bender family are lying in wait.
Check these pockets, yeah?
Check them all.
Yeah, I checked them out.
Oh, well.
Their motive for killing people was money. They were careful to kill people who were not from close around, so they would not go missing.
Author Fern Morrow Wood says the Benders' targets are wealthy outsiders.
They would stop halfway between Fort Scott and Independence and spend the night. And if they appeared to have money, they didn't ever leave.
Ten strangers have gone missing on the trail that passes the Benders Inn. The latest visitor is a return guest, Dr. William York. Like many frontier men, Dr. York is infatuated with Kate Bender.
It's great to see you, Miss Kate.
You know I read poems.
I had heard that.
But this will be the doctor's final visit.
High intelligence and great learning. Explains your success in the medical field.
Is there anything about a second marriage in there?
Right? No. 25, huh? That's 25. That's
This time, the Bender family has made a big mistake.
Dr. York was their undoing because he wasn't from far away, as the others were, and he left behind traces.
After Dr. York disappeared, his brother started searching around and following his trail, and the trail ended at the Benders.
His brother was Colonel York, who had been in the Civil War. He was a Civil War colonel who had recently become a Kansas state senator. And Colonel York was a man of action.
When Colonel York rides up searching for his brother, he comes face to face with a dangerous killer.
The idea that a woman would be involved in conning and luring men to their death, to their murder, clearly points to sociopathy.
Howdy, man. I've been looking for my brother. His name is William York.
Katie probably was a chronic liar by the time she was 5 or 6 years old. That's how she learned to con people.
No, sorry. I've not seen this man around here.
You certain about that? He was seen around these
Kate manages to palm the colonel off.
People traveling through, but no, I've never seen him.
But the Benders realize their deadly business is in danger of being shut down.
I don't think Katie thought she was going to get caught. That's exhibited by the fact that they repeated the same crime over and over and over. But eventually, things got too hot for them and they left.
As far as known, they packed up quickly, they took off, they got into their wagon, and they went up to Thayer, which is only 7 miles away. And they bought train tickets and they split.
Get out of here.
A few weeks later, already suspicious locals notice the inn is abandoned.
So they decided to meet together on the property. The men that went discovered the smell of death, so they started looking. A couple of the men were disgusted and they got up and sat in their buggy looking against the sun and saw a depression in the grass. The depression was where there were some graves. They told all the farmers to bring plows and shovels, picks. They started digging and they found Dr. York's body first.
Jim.
Almost decapitated, because Kate was always given credit for slitting the throats from ear to ear.
The Benders' land is a secret graveyard.
They found 11 bodies altogether.
People were furious. They realized that the Benders were behind the missing people, the murders. There were a number of posses, people who were hunting the Benders. They took off in all these different directions. But they were long gone.
To this day, no one knows what became of Kate and her family.
Come on, eat up.
They've gone down in history as America's first family of serial killers.
There's an excellent chance that when the Benders relocated, wherever it was, they resumed the activity. Possibly on a smaller scale to avoid detection. People that do this kind of thing, especially for profit, rarely stop unless they're stopped by the police.
Los Angeles, 1998. Too late. Businessman David Karantzin is about to die because he threatened to expose a pair of deadly con artists. They are mother and son, Sante and Kenny Kimes.
Sante Kimes is as dangerous a criminal as I have ever come across.
Sante Kimes crosses the country, leaving a trail of insurance scams, property fraud, and robbery. Sante Kimes is a grifter.
Grifting is a term for the con, tricking someone into taking something from them. And that was what juiced her up, was the lie, the fraud, the stealing.
Right at Sante's side, her own son, Kenny.
It's one thing for a woman to commit a crime, but to involve her children in her crimes is unconscionable, and yet she had no problem doing it.
Kenny is under his mother's control. She has turned him into a criminal and a killer. When banker Saeed Bilal Ahmed inquires into Sante's suspicious bank accounts, his curiosity costs his life.
Anyone who had something Sante wanted, she would go for. If she could see that she wasn't going to be able to con them out of their property, they were in the most danger, and they ended up in the morgue.
New York City, 1998. Sante and her son are chasing the biggest target of their criminal career.
Oh, hello. Nice to see you again.
Wealthy socialite Irene Silverman.
Come in. Would you like a cup of tea?
Sante and Kenny pretend to be business partners, looking to lease an apartment. Mrs. Silverman is in serious danger. Her new tenants are quietly plotting to take her property and her life.
Sante's a sociopath to the core. And one of the things that we see in criminal sociopaths is that their criminal behaviors cover a broader spectrum. Sociopath will have a record that includes arson, petty theft, fraud, and sometimes later in their careers, their criminal careers, we see murder. And this is what happened to her.
My mother, Sante Kimes, is probably the biggest walking contradiction known to man.
Kent Walker is Sante Kimes' first son.
She was the most fun, loving, greatest person to be around. She had a charisma, a love of life.
I went to a party at the White House, no less.
She had an ability to take any situation, turn into fun, excitement.
I, of course, was the life of the party, as always.
Growing up, Kent remembers a glamorous mother.
I knew President Ford, and we had a lovely chat.
She aspires to the high life and models herself on Elizabeth Taylor.
To say I told them my husband was the ambassador of Lithuania.
But Sante Kimes has another side.
She was one of the most frightening people you ever want to meet. In terms of evil, I have a couple friends who were pretty high-powered attorneys, very well-renowned, who knows her, and they compared her to Charles Manson.
This is good champagne. What do you think you're doing? Serving champagne. I told you to serve it during my speech. Does it look like I'm doing a speech?
My mother would turn in an instant.
Get out of my sight. Get out of my sight.
She can, at a drop of a hat, become vicious. angry, controlling, and sometimes violent.
Do you think Elizabeth Taylor had to put up with this?
Her whole life was basically a lie. There would be a little germ of truth, that first germ or seed, but then it would just blossom to this tremendous untruth.
Few are safe from Sante's schemes and cons. Her housekeepers are threatened and locked up without pay. She keeps them as slaves.
The fact that Sante enslaved women speaks to her sociopathy. She was a user and abuser of people to the core.
In 1985, Sante is arrested for slavery.
In fact, it was the only case last century where someone was convicted of slavery.
By now, Kent Walker has moved out, but his younger brother Kenny is in a dangerous position.
The biggest disaster in Kenny's life was when Mom went to jail in the 80s for the meds trial. At the time, Kenny was at about the worst age you can be for something like that to happen. It kind of gave Kenny a mindset that made him the perfect piece of clay to mold for my mother to use.
As Kenny grows up, his mother grooms him to join the family business.
The chances of Kenny not falling into a life of crime with his mother were slim to none. The greatest influence on his life was the person that was supposed to love him the most, his mother, who was a criminal to the core.
On a Manhattan sidewalk, two killers make their escape. This couple are mother and son. With Sante and Kenny Kimes, blood ties have deadly repercussions.
The familial bond, especially parent to child, can be unbreakable, making it almost impossible emotionally for a child to stand up to a parent who wants them to kill.
1 week earlier, wealthy socialite Irene Silverman holds court.
Yep, I can still do all these movements even to this day.
Really?
Oh, yes. Yes, I'll show you.
The ex-ballet dancer is owner of her own $7 million apartment block. Her newest tenants are Sante and Kenny Kimes. Deadly con artists plotting Mrs. Silverman's downfall.
Sante was dangerous to anyone that had something that she wanted, and if she sensed that that person could be manipulated, she would go for it.
The pair forge property deeds, aiming to take control of Irene Silverman's apartment block.
What are we gonna do?
4th of July, this weekend.
So?
So everyone's going away on vacation.
First, Mrs. Silverman has to disappear.
Yes? What's the matter? Please, come in.
The blood ties of mother and son make these two criminals a deadly team.
Well, you're evicted. I'm leaving.
No, we're not. No, we're not. We're not evicted. You're staying right here.
What are you doing, crazy bitch?
Like he has done before, Kenny will kill on his mother's command. A stun gun immobilizes Irene.
Get the rope. I think the sick psychodynamic between Sante and Kenny probably increased the intensity of their crimes, and they fed off each other, and clearly Mom was the leader.
She was able to take basic, core, good values that every mother should have for their child and twist it to justify any action she did.
Science doesn't know enough about a sociopathy gene to say that he inherited this from his mother. It also could be that he learned bad behavior from her. Little boys love their mothers. They want to please them. And that is what he did as a big boy.
In broad daylight, Sante and Kenny escape. Irene Silverman's body is never found.
I have no doubt that Sante Kimes thought she would never be apprehended. And when that occurred, she never thought she would be convicted.
One day later, the FBI arrests the Kimes on an unrelated fraud charge. In their car are all the tools of the deadly con artists. Guns, masks, rope, forged property deeds, and $30,000 in cash.
Had she not been stopped, she would have been grifting and murdering until the day she died.
In 2000, mother and son face an extraordinary trial. They're convicted on no less than 60 criminal counts, from forgery and burglary to murder. Kenny Kimes is sentenced to 120 years in prison. Sante Kimes, 125 years.
I right then had to confront myself with the fact that I then knew that my mother and my brother were murdered. And it was, in a way, a relief because I knew it was over. In a way, it was scary. I was frightened because I knew what was going to be coming. I was very saddened because I knew I'd lost my mother and my brother. Very emotional moment.
Blood ties can be a powerful force for evil. When her mother asked her to kill, Heather Opel said yes. Kate Bender lured human prey for her killer family. And Sante Kimes twisted a son's love to her own murderous ends. For these deadly women, the family that stayed together, killed together. Murder ran in their bloodlines.